How about that? We've reached the final stages of the month of July. How crazy. I mean, August is less than a week away. August is less than a week away. What an amazing 5 months, and not amazing in a good way, but amazing as in the roller coaster of our lives. And it's going to be an interesting show. At least this is going to be an interesting premise as we dive into this edition of The Bar. Harp on Sports, media, audio, podcast network, the whole gamut. At Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports the Facebook page, Harp on Sports the YouTube channel. You know where to find it, harponsports.com as well. What do we have for you on this edition of the program? Baseball's back. The NFL's no policy and holding out hardball style. The first two are connected. Baseball's back. In the NFL's no policy. Just found out that the Miami Marlins, who just finished their series with the Philadelphia Phillies, are still in Philadelphia. This is just the beginning of complications you are going to see with and in regards to the coronavirus. Jose Arena was scratched. Starting pitcher for the Marlins tests positive. So they scratch him, and the Marlins play the Phillies anyway. Okay. The Phillies are made aware of this, so the Phillies know, okay, those guys are removed. All right, we're good. The issue is, and somebody very intelligently brought up the point that, wait a second, Jose Arena and the other members of the Marlins were in contact with each other. Everybody's got to get tested. We cannot hop on an airplane and fly back to Miami, get test results here, get tested here, hop on a plane, fly back to Miami. Everybody goes home to their wife and kids. Then everybody shows up at the ballpark tomorrow night, and we don't know if we have it or not, and we could be giving it to our family without knowing we have it or not. Welcome to the baton passing of this thing. And so the Marlins have 4 players test positive. They play the game anyway today, which I get. They isolated everybody. That's fine. But the rest of the Marlins players, coaching staff, managerial staff, front office looks around and goes, we can't leave Philadelphia. We can't go back to Miami tonight. We have to get tested now, all of us, and find out what the results of those tests are. So you have the Marlins, who 4 players test positive. They get ready to head back home. Can't head back home. Have to stay in Philadelphia for the night. Get tested. Hopefully can have their results in the next 24 hours. Plan on, once they get those results, hopping on the plane, flying back to Miami. Imagine this is a football team. Now, the difference is with being a football team, at least you have a week to prepare, right? Imagine a football team. Now, again, you got to think about this realistically and where we are. Imagine a football team that finds 4 players test positive on a Friday. What do? Do you load everybody up on the plane on Saturday morning and take off? Imagine you're a college football team and you find out 4 players test positive Friday. What do? Well, we'll test everybody. Okay, you test everybody. Saturday's kickoff. What do? What do you do? This is baseball. Baseball, unfortunately, baseball is going to be the sport that people, okay, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, this is good. Baseball's the guinea pig. Now, hockey and basketball have decided to quarantine themselves away from everybody, the bubble, and everybody makes fun of the bubble, but the bubble's the most realistic approach to doing this. Isolation away from everybody else. Baseball, remember, we talked about this last week. Baseball had, in effect, put this together. Toronto said, get out. We don't want you here. And now you see why Toronto told the Blue Jays, get out now. Go, go. You're the Marlins. You're kind of cooked, aren't you? 4 players test positive. You're stuck in Philadelphia. Okay, we do the results tonight. What if 3 come back positive? And remember, just because Jose Arena was scratched today and tested positive, you may not test positive until Tuesday, Wednesday. See? It's not as simple. And speaking of simple, I love sports. Chose it to be my career. Sports fans. Bunch of babies. Some of you are a bunch of babies. I don't care. I want sports back. I can't wait to get sports back. Here's baseball. Man, I don't like it. There's no fans. It's quiet. I hate artificial crowd noise. Cardboard cutouts are stupid. There's no. What do you want? What do you want? Huh? What are we supposed to do here? Anybody that complains about a lack of crowd noise, I just want sports back. Oh, here's your sports. Man, I don't like this without fans. What did you think was going to happen? I told you way back in March that this was going to happen. You're going to get sports back, but you weren't going to get to go. Then I came back out and said again, when sports comes back, you're not going to get to go. You're just not. And now we're here. You don't get to go. You get your sports back, but it's not like I remember. I'm going to let you in a little secret. You ready for this? You'll be lucky. You'll be lucky 12 months from now if you're at 75% capacity stadium-wise. 36% of Americans said they're not going to take the vaccine if it comes out in January. 36%. What? Huh? The sooner everybody wears a mask, the sooner we can get back to this. I went to the grocery store today. 8 people without it. And you know what's funny? You know what's funny I've observed about non-mask wearers at grocery stores at this point? They're staring everybody down. Daring. It's funny because I walked past 4 people without them. I think it was 4 or 6. And every single one of them, when you walk back, because you got your mask on, right? So you can't see what you look like. And I have been what I did not gain, at least at birth in terms of height, I gained with eyes. And again, it's one of those things that I'm able to stare at somebody with my eyes. I can speak more with my eyes than almost anybody I've ever met. That's true. A little self-pat on the back, right? So what happens is you see these people walk by. I'm doing it right now. You're freaking out, right? These people walk by and they don't have a mask on, so I naturally can't see my mouth. I can't see my facial expressions. And I look at them like, God. And it's funny because everybody that doesn't wear a mask is looking for, who's going to say something to me? Who's going to say something to me? I want somebody to say something to me. I want you got to get, look at people, I guess, unless you're watching from my home state of Indiana, because I was there a couple weeks ago and nobody had a mask on. So when you go out, watch people that don't have masks on, they're almost looking for, just go, come on, somebody say something to me. Somebody say something to me so I can call you a sheep. Okay. I just think this is so interesting now. So interesting. That was a sidebar, by the way. But there we are. Marlins, 4 players test positive. Players can't even hop back on the plane. The Marlins decide to park it in Philadelphia for the night because they can't go back home because they don't know if 80% of the team's positive, 90% of the team's positive, nobody's positive. So you have to wait 24 hours. They'll get their test results back tomorrow, hop on the plane, fly back to Miami for the game against the Orioles tomorrow. Which leads to my next point. The NFL's no policy. The National Football League has a no policy. What I mean by that is they are going to be very similar to baseball, where they're going to let you go. You go ahead. We trust you. Go. Very similar. Very similar. However, the NFL is putting it into their at least initial premise here, initial agreement, that if you're a player and you engage in high-risk behavior, they don't have to pay you. If you're a player and you engage in, this is the NFL tonight, this weekend. If you're a player and you engage in high-risk behavior, team can look at you and go, we're not paying you. We're not. Now, what if Tom Brady engages in high-risk behavior, which he has these last few months? Is that a little bit different? Is that uniform? The only thing I have a question on the NFL high-risk behavior policy is if you run a high-risk behavior, and if you go to a party if you're out screwing around, if you're at a club, at a bar. They don't have to pay you. Is that one of those things where they can fine you? I know they can fine you. Right? Here's a $50,000 fine for high-risk behavior. Boom. And they'll lay out what high-risk behavior is: going out without a mask, going to a club, going to it, even though which ones are open. But if you're engaged in high-risk behavior, the NFL's saying, no, we're not going to pay you. I'm not going to pay you. Now, is that you're suspended? I don't. Could you imagine for 1 second? Think about this. Could you imagine your team is in a playoff hunt and it's December and your star wide receivers at the club and they consider that high-risk behavior? What do? Do you fine him? We're going to fine him. What are we going to do? Going to suspend him? What do we do? I'm interested to see that dichotomy work back and forth. So the NFL's no policy, which, again, I'm okay with. And the NFL's no policy, tying back to the Marlins, I think is the perfect example. The only way to make this work is to do what the NBA does, is where you have to isolate everybody. But here's what's interesting about this. This is what's so interesting. This pandemic now is about you doing what you don't want to do so you can do what you want to do down the road. I don't want to wear a mask. I want to put that damn thing on. I want to make sure I always have one in my pocket. I have 2 in my glove box just in case. 1 in my trunk just in case. They're laying all over the place. They are. They're like when I used to have a chapstick all over the place. So now we're at a point with the National Football League, and we're at a point with baseball, seeing what happened with the Marlins today, where they're stuck in Philadelphia for the night because a bunch of them tested positive, that the only way to do it is completely isolate everybody. But what's funny about this is you want sports, right? Yeah. Sports fans want athletes to be isolated, so I get more sports. Yeah. So you're asking athletes to be inconvenient, stay away from your family, be isolated in a hotel room, be inconvenient for me, be inconvenient for me, be inconvenienced for me. But in the same breath, you won't be inconvenienced for others. The same people that are okay with athletes being sequestered, stuck in a bubble, being inconvenienced, are the same people, stick in your bubble, stay in your bubble, are the same people that won't be inconvenienced for others. You need to be inconvenienced for me in my consumption of athletics, and you need to be inconvenienced for me. Me be inconvenienced for you by having to put on a mask? No, I'm not going to do that. Why? Because a guy I went to high school with that got a C in science says masks are a way for Dr. Fauci to control you. That's one of my new favorite things. Exit ramp here. The masks are just a way for the government to control you. Control you to do what? Put on a mask? This is a way for them to control you. How? This is a way to make them put on a mask to control you. Control me to do what? Put on a mask? Well, then you know what's next. No, what's next? Again, tie me up, handcuff me down, and milk me for my seed. What's next? In the mask, here's what it is now. Masks in stores and masks in public are now idiot tests. They're idiot tests. Is what they are. Please put on a mask. It's an idiot test. A seatbelt in the car is an idiot test. It is. It's an idiot test. It is. When I see somebody on with pajama pants or pajamas in a grocery store, that's an idiot test. It is. It's an idiot test. Mask is an idiot test now. You see somebody without one on, it's an idiot test. The minute I see somebody in a store without one on, I'm like, that person means you're tough and they believe in freedom. No, it means you're not very smart. It means you're not very smart. So there you go. The NFL's no policy. They catch you with risky behavior. They can suspend. We don't know if they can suspend you yet. They can fine you. They can take your money away. The NFL's doing that. Gage, we're going to take your money away. It's always funny because everybody's like, they're trying to spread fear. They're trying to spread fear. Of course you're trying to spread fear. If you're an offensive lineman you hold, you get a 15 or 10-yard penalty. That's fear, right? If you do steroids and get caught, test positive, you're suspended. That's fear. I always get a kick out of this. They're just trying to scare you. Welcome to life. Your parents try to scare you. Why? They say there's this big fat guy with a white beard and a red suit. He's got a list. He's watching everything you do. And if you misbehave, you don't get toys. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Fear is trying to scare us. Yeah, maybe you should be scared. The NFL's got a no policy. Good. Baseball. Free for the world. Right? We're going to test. Baseball's got its first big coronavirus test. And again, the only way to do this is stick everybody in isolation. If you want a season where 2% of the players test positive, you have to do what basketball's doing. You bubble them. Now, it's easier with 10, 11 players. Football's got what? 53-man roster? 53 men? Colleges even have more. The sport that's going to blow up sickness-wise is college football. Mark it here. You heard it here. Final week of July. The sport's going to have the biggest mess with this, and the biggest problem with this is college. College football is going to have the biggest mess by far. It's not even going to be close. The NFL is going to be kind of bad. Basketball is going to have the few, well, percentage-wise, since there's only 11 guys on each team. The sport that's going to be by far and away the worst, it's going to be the ugliest, it's going to be the nastiest is college football. Why? You have 70 guys, they're all in a locker room, they go back to dorms, they go back to the school with the rest of the population. The sport's going to be the worst by far. College students, I was driving, I went to the stadium in Rand today, I was driving home, there's 10 kids walking down the road, no view, whatever. College is going to be the worst by far. College football is going to be the worst by far. So, baseball's showing us what is going to happen. Baseball's showing us what is going to happen. The NFL is trying to scare their players, or at least send them warnings. If you engage in behavior, boom, you're going to get nailed. Which leads to my last point. A little holdout hardball. Heard over the weekend, Dalvin Cook was going to report, according to an assistant coach, to the Vikings. Dalvin Cook, former Florida State running back, talking about holding out. Okay. Yannick Ngakoue of the Jaguars. Talk about him holding out. If you're in a contract year like Dalvin Cook or Yannick Ngakoue and you don't hold out, you're foolish. If I were a football player right now, I'd hold out. You're damn right I'd hold out. Why would I play? If I was a football player, you have to report to camp by what? Is it week 10? I think you have to be back by week 10, right? It's week 9. In order, you're franchise tagged in the case of Yannick Ngakoue. So you're 17 million reasons why to come, right? Dalvin Cook is in the final year. He wasn't a first-round draft pick. He wants a big extension. So if I am a football player at this point and I'm in a contract year, whatever I can do just to get through that contract year and make the money I need to make, I'm going to do. Now, Ngakoue's got a little more wiggle room. Why? Because Ngakoue shows up week 9, he plays, he's still going to get $7-8 million. You have to show up by a certain amount of time. Dalvin Cook, the same thing. If I were a football player, and now look, I'm not going to hold out if I'm a rookie just to do it. I'm not going to. The smart financial move is to hold out. It's the smart health move too. If I'm a football player and I hold out until week 9, that gets me what? Let's say the NFL starts on time. Let's say the NFL starts in 6 weeks. By the way, the NFL is supposed to start in 6 weeks. You think it's going to happen? Let's say the NFL starts early September, September 10th, right there, right? 3 weeks in September, 4 weeks in October, second week in November. I have to be in camp. If I'm Dalvin Cook holding out, if I'm Yannick Ngakoue holding out, I have to be in camp by when? Mid-November? So I've got 3 more months. I don't know what the health numbers, I don't know what the coronavirus numbers are going to do in the next 3 months. I know in the next month they're not going to go down. Imagine if I'm a football player, I report, if I'm Dalvin Cook and I'm Yannick Ngakoue and I get it, and I'm out for 2 months or I'm out for a month and I come back and I'm not as strong and my numbers go down, that's going to be held against me. If I'm, again, Dalvin Cook, Yannick Ngakoue, show up week 9. There's no way. There's no way I'd come to camp. No way, Jose. If I'm in a contract year, no way am I coming. I'm holding out. If I'm anybody that doesn't have more than a year on his contract, if I am in my, no matter who I am, Dalvin Cook, if you show up to the preseason camp, there's no games. You don't kick off until September at the earliest. Why would you come to camp? Why? No way. No way, doctor. Hold out. Hardcore. Hardball. Hold out. However you want to do it, not doing it. Now, if I get my big deal, I come. You bet. But if I'm Dalvin Cook, I'm Yannick Ngakoue, the smart move physically first, the smart move financially second, is to hold out and report at the last final moment so you get your league accredited year. Hello? What would that be? November 14th? Smart thing to do. The wise thing to do. All right, Harp On Sports Podcast Audio Media Network. Follow, like, share, follow, like, at Harp On Sports Twitter, at Harp On Sports Instagram, Harp On Sports Facebook page, if you're watching the Facebook Live now or the Twitter Live now. Podcast available for you on Spotify, Apple Podcast, also Buzzsprout, harponsports.com, Harp On Sports YouTube channel. Be a part of it. Check it out. Love to have you. Follow, like, share, follow, like. I really would appreciate it. Again, thank you. We appreciate the time as always. Like my new shirt. Yeah, longer, harder, faster. In my midsummer goatee. Just trying something new here. I was watching Seven the other night and Brad Pitt. I look a little like Brad Pitt right now, like Brad Pitt in Seven. A little bit older than he was when he filmed that, but kind of look the same. Enjoy what's left of your weekend. Have a great week. This has been the Harp On Sports. Harp On Sports, everybody laughing at me. The bar on the Harp On Sports audio, podcast, and media network.